here we go. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavajakacharya Ashtoto the Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacharya Ashtoto the Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad-gītā Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay, so we're starting the Bhagavad-gītā. Starting our Bhagavad-gītā class. I think it's about the 10th time we've been through it all. I've been doing this for 35 years. Let's see. Just need to put. Okay, so let's see. I don't know if I can do Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll be reading the introduction. It'll take a while. Which starts on page 1. Well, I'm going to start on page Roman numeral 17. Prabhupada gives a preface. He explains how the book came to be. I don't know, but there's some good information in there. It's a nice history. All right. Okay, on this 10th day of February, 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And having completed the Bhagavad-gītā last Wednesday night, we will begin again on page Roman numeral 17 with the preface. Originally, Srila Prabhupada writes, I wrote Bhagavad-gītā As It Is in the form in which it is presented now. When this book was first published, the original manuscript was, unfortunately, cut short to less than 400 pages, without illustrations and without explanations for most of the original verses of the Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. In all of my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ishopanishad, etc., the system is that I give the original verse, its English transliteration, word-for-word Sanskrit-English equivalents, translations, and purports. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly, and makes the meaning self-evident. I was not very happy, therefore, when I had to minimize my original manuscript. But later on, when the demand for the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is considerably increased, I was requested by many scholars and devotees to present the book in its original form. Thus, the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript of this great book of knowledge with full parampara explanation in order to establish the Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively. And of course, parampara refers to the disciplic succession of gurus and disciples coming down from Krishna. Our Krishna consciousness movement is genuine, historically authorized, natural, and transcendental due to its being based on Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. It is gradually becoming the most popular movement in the entire world. Okay, let's see when this was written in 1971. In the world, especially amongst the younger generation, it is becoming more and more interesting to the older generation also. Older gentlemen are becoming interested, so much so that the fathers and grandfathers of my disciples are encouraging us by becoming life members of our great society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In Los Angeles, many fathers and mothers used to come to see me to express their feelings of gratitude for my leading the Krishna Consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Some of them said that it is greatly fortunate for the Americans that I have started the Krishna Consciousness movement in America. But actually, the original father of this movement is Lord Krishna himself, since it was started a very long time ago, but it's coming down to human society by disciplic succession. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya, 108 Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. If personally I have any credit in this matter, it is only that I have tried to present Bhagavad-gītā as it is, without any adulteration. Before my presentation of Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, almost all the English editions of the Bhagavad-gītā were introduced to fulfill someone's personal ambition. But our attempt in presenting Bhagavad-gītā As It Is to present the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Our business is to present the will of Krishna, not that of any mundane speculator, like the politician, philosopher, or scientist, for they have very little knowledge of Krishna, despite all their other knowledge. When Krishna says, Manmana bhavamad bhakto, madjaji mam namaskuru, etc., we, unlike the so-called scholars, do not say that Krishna and his inner spirit are different. Krishna is absolute, and there is no difference between Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, etc. So I need to explain that a little bit. He became the president of India, Dr. Radhakrishnan, one of the first presidents. He was also a Bhagavad-gītā scholar. I have his Bhagavad-gītā on my shelf for reference purposes. And famously, in the 9th chapter at the very end is a key verse, which is repeated almost verbatim in the 18th chapter, which we just read. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madjaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishasi yuktvavam atmanam matparayanaha. Just think of me, become my devotee, worship me and bow down to me. Surely connected to me in this devotional yoga, you will come to me. So he wrote a commentary to that. He didn't call it a purport, but a commentary, in which he said, well, it's not to the person, Krishna, that we need to surrender or worship. It's to the inner spirit within Krishna. There's no inner spirit within Krishna. Krishna is solid spirit. We have mostly matter, and we are an infinitesimal soul within the body, not soul for Krishna. He's solid spirit. So that's a big, and that Prabhupada refers to it here and later on in the book also. Such okay, let's see. Krishna's inner spirit, we, unlike the so-called scholars, do not say that Krishna and his inner spirit are different. Krishna is absolute, and there is no difference between Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, etc., and Krishna himself. This absolute position of Krishna is difficult to understand for any person who is not a devotee of Krishna in the system of parampara, disciplic succession. Generally, the so-called scholars, politicians, philosophers, and swamis, without perfect knowledge of Krishna, try to banish or kill Krishna when writing commentary on the Bhagavad-gītā. Such unauthorized commentary upon the Bhagavad-gītā is known as Mayavad Bhashya. That's impersonal commentation. And Lord Chaitanya has warned us about these unauthorized men. Lord Chaitanya clearly says that anyone who tries to understand the Bhagavad-gītā from the Mayavadi point of view will commit a great blunder. The result of such a blunder will be that the misguided student of the Bhagavad-gītā will certainly be bewildered on the path of spiritual guidance and will not be able to go back home, back to Godhead. Our only purpose is to present the Bhagavad-gītā, this Bhagavad-gītā as it is, in order to guide the conditioned student to the same purpose for which Krishna descends to this planet once in a day of Brahma, or every 8,600,000,000 years. This purpose is stated in the Bhagavad-gītā, and we have to accept it as it is. Otherwise, there is no point in trying to understand the Bhagavad-gītā and its speaker, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna first spoke the Bhagavad-gītā to the sun god some hundreds of millions of years ago. We have to accept this fact and thus understand the historical significance of the Bhagavad-gītā without misinterpretation on the authority of Krishna. To interpret the Bhagavad-gītā without any reference to the will of Krishna is the greatest offense. In order to save oneself from this offense, one has to understand the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as he was directly understood by Arjuna, Lord Krishna's first disciple. Such understanding of the Bhagavad-gītā is really profitable and authorized for the welfare of human society in fulfilling the mission of life. The Krishna consciousness movement is essential in human society, for it offers the highest perfection of life. How this is so is explained fully in the Bhagavad-gītā. Unfortunately, mundane wranglers have taken advantage of the Bhagavad-gītā to push forward their demonic propensities and mislead people regarding right understanding of the simple principles of life. Everyone should know how God or Krishna is great, and everyone should know the factual position of the living entities. Everyone should know that a living entity is eternally a servant, and that unless one serves Krishna, one has to serve illusion in different varieties of the three modes of material nature, and thus wander perpetually within the cycle of birth and death. Even the so-called liberated Mayavadi speculator has to undergo this process. This knowledge constitutes a great science, and each and every living being has to hear it for his own interest. People in general, especially in this age of Kali, are enamored by the external energy of Krishna, and they wrongly think that by advancement of material comforts, every man will be happy. They have no knowledge that the material or external nature is very strong, for everyone is strongly bound by the stringent laws of material nature. A living entity is happily the part and parcel of the Lord, and thus his natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord. By the spell of illusion, one tries to be happy by serving his personal sense gratification in different forms, which will never make him happy. Instead of satisfying his own personal material senses, he has to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. The Lord wants this, and he demands it. One has to understand this central point of the Bhagavad-gītā. Our Krishna consciousness movement is teaching the whole world this central point. And because we are not polluting the theme of Bhagavad-gītā as it is, anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit by studying the Bhagavad-gītā must take help from the Krishna consciousness movement for practical understanding of the Bhagavad-gītā under the direct guidance of the Lord. We hope, therefore, that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying the Bhagavad-gītā as it is, as we have presented it here. And if even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, 12 May 1971, Sydney, Australia. So, there's not much to say there. Prabhupada said it all. He felt the importance of the Bhagavad-gītā is foundational. It has all the basic principles of philosophy upon which Krishna consciousness is based. And we'll see as we read the Bhagavad-gītā in first and second chapter how Krishna gives important instruction for all of us. So now we'll begin the introduction, which is quite lengthy. We won't take us about, I don't know, maybe a week to get through it, but it's worth it. And we'll begin with these verses of introduction, Prabhupada, that we usually say, at least the first two, and sometimes some others, before any class. Om Jnana Timirandasya, let's see if you can chant. Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? All right, this next one I think I'll just do alone. This is kind of formidable. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamadang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupang Sagrajatam Sahaganada Gunatan Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Padijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Ladita Shri Visakhan Vitangscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswamis. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho, Dinabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute. O my dear Krishna, ocean of mercy, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the cowherd men and the lover of the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Bindavaneshwari, Vishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Haripriye. Okay, 15 seconds for a little Sanskrit lesson. You see at the end, those Gaurangi and Vrindavaneshwari, the eyes, the eye at the end of those words? The fact that it's a short I indicates that you're addressing her directly. In the second person in English, like you. That's why they're all short. People, the devotees generally forget that. They just use the long I, but now you know the secret. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of King Vishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. So that's the second person. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. I offer my obeisances to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas, and all others in the line of devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, now Prabhupada begins his intro. The Bhagavad-gītā is also known as the Gita Upanishad. It is the essence of Vedic knowledge and one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature. Of course, there are many commentaries in English on the Bhagavad-gītā, and one may question the necessity for another one. This present edition can be explained in the following way. Recently, an American lady asked me to recommend an English translation of the Bhagavad-gītā. Of course, in America, there are so many editions of the Bhagavad-gītā available in English, but as far as I have seen, not only in America but also in India, none of them can be strictly said to be authoritative because in almost every one of them, the commentator has expressed his own opinions without touching the spirit of the Bhagavad-gītā as it is. The spirit of the Bhagavad-gītā is mentioned in the Bhagavad-gītā itself. It is just like this. If we want to take a particular medicine, then we have to follow the directions written on the label. We cannot take the medicine according to our own whim or the direction of a friend. It must be taken according to the directions on the label or the directions given by a physician. Similarly, the Bhagavad-gītā should be taken or accepted as it is directed by the speaker himself. The speaker of the Bhagavad-gītā is Lord Sri Krishna. He is mentioned on every page of the Bhagavad-gītā as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. Of course, the word Bhagavan sometimes refers to any powerful person or any powerful demigod. And certainly here, Bhagavan designates Lord Sri Krishna as a great personality. But at the same time, we should know that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as is confirmed by all great acharyas, spiritual masters, like Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarka Swami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many other authorities of Vedic knowledge in India. The Lord himself also establishes himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Bhagavad-gītā, and he is accepted as such in the Brahma Samhita and all the Puranas, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Bhagavat Purana, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam means, but Krishna is Bhagavan himself. Ete Changsakala Pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is a verse in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Sukadeva or Sutta Goswami just listed a whole bunch of other avatars. Like just so we had Varaha avatar, Lord Nrsimha, they're all listed there. And then Krishna's in the list, because he also appears 5,000 years ago, so he's also mentioned. And then he said, all of these avatars I just listed are either plenary expansions of Krishna or partial expansions. But Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Krishna himself is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not an Angsha or so forth. So that's a very important verse. Okay, where was I? Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Therefore, we should take the Bhagavad-gītā as it is directed by the Personality of Godhead himself. In the 4th chapter of the Gita, 4:1-3, the Lord says, I'll say, you say, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan hamavvyam bivasvan manave praha manurikshvakave bravit evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu Sakalene hamata yogo nashtak parantapa sahevayam mayateja yoga prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakhacheti rahasyam yetaruttamam. Here the Lord informs Arjuna that this system of yoga, the Bhagavad-gītā, was first spoken to the sun god. And the sun god explained it to Manu, and Manu explained it to Ikshvaku. And in that way, by disciplic succession, one speaker after another, this yoga system has been coming down. But in the course of time, it has become lost. Consequently, the Lord has to speak it again, this time to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna tells Arjuna that he is relating the supreme secret to him because Arjuna is his devotee and his friend. The purport of this is that the Bhagavad-gītā is a treatise which is especially meant for the devotee of the Lord. There are three classes of transcendentalists, namely the jnani, the yogi, and the bhakta, or the impersonalist, the meditator, and the devotee. Here the Lord clearly tells Arjuna that he is making him the first receiver of a new parampara, or disciplic succession, because the old succession was broken. It was the Lord's wish, therefore, to establish another parampara in the same line of thought that was coming down from the sun god to others. And it was his wish, Krishna's wish, that his teaching be distributed anew by Arjuna. He wanted Arjuna to become the authority in understanding the Bhagavad-gītā. So we see that the Bhagavad-gītā is instructed to Arjuna, especially because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord, a direct student of Krishna, and his intimate friend. Therefore, the Bhagavad-gītā is best understood by a person who has qualities similar to Arjuna's. That is to say, he must be a devotee in a direct relationship with the Lord. As soon as one becomes a devotee of the Lord, he also has a direct relationship with the Lord. That is a very elaborate subject matter, but briefly it can be stated that a devotee is in a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one of 5 different ways. 1, one may be a devotee in a passive state. 2, one may be a devotee in an active state. 3, one may be a devotee as a friend. 4, one may be a devotee as a parent. 5, one may be a devotee as a conjugal lover. Arjuna was in a relationship with the Lord as friend. Of course, there is a gulf of distance between this friendship and the friendship found in the material world. This is transcendental friendship, which cannot be had by everyone. Of course, everyone has a particular relationship with the Lord, and that relationship is evoked by the perfection of devotional service. But in the present status of our life, not only have we forgotten the Supreme Lord, but we have forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord. Every living being out of the many, many billions and trillions of living beings has a particular relationship with the Lord eternally. That is called swarupa, one's own rup, one's own form, one's own relationship. By the process of devotional service, one can revive that swarup, and that stage is called swarup siddhi, perfection of one's constitutional position. So Arjuna was a devotee, and he was in touch with the Supreme Lord in friendship. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So I think we should have a little explanation of some of these things. A lot of stuff is coming at once. So Srila Prabhupada felt it important to list these, what we call rasas. There's no real equivalent of the word rasa in English. So Prabhupada, sometimes he adopted the word that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used, mellow. Of course, mellow doesn't have an English noun. It's not an English noun, I don't think. But that's what it is. It means a humor. We all know what it is. We just don't have a name for it. What is that, what is the essence of someone if you have a friend? So that you want to help them, and they want to help you, and you do things together, So that's a mellow. Or mother and child. This is a very obvious one. There's such an intense bond there. The mother is caring for the child and just wants to see him healthy and happy and well-fed and, everything. And the child, well, there's not, by the way, the word filial is important. The word filial means the child's feeling for the parent. It's that way. Parental is the other way, and specifically maternal, paternal, like that, just to let you know. So that's an advanced stage. You see, that's the 4th one as a parent. But the first one is a passive state. It's just like in the spiritual world, everything is conscious, which is pretty amazing, just to contemplate that. suddenly everything was conscious. I'm sorry, I'm sorry about the microphone. Sometimes I treat you roughly, I'm sorry. But that's the way it is in the spiritual world. Everything is alive and conscious. So like a passive, and there are a lot of passive shanta ras, peace. So what is the essential qualities of shanta ras? Always thinking of Krishna, having no desire for material sense gratification, and being blissful just thinking of Krishna. And hoping that somehow he will use me somehow, and I'll have a little bit of service. Otherwise, waiting for the service. Just like Krishna's flute is in the Shanta Ras. It doesn't do anything actively, please play me, something like that, But he's ready to be picked up and then it's fulfilled, The ground is in the Shanta Ras. Just serving Krishna passively, waiting for Krishna. Always being Krishna conscious, being blissful in that way, and then being extra blissful when he walks in them. So that's one state. Then there's the active state of service. This is the dasya. Dasya means a servant, a servitude, not servitude, I'm sorry. If you see the word servitude in the book, know that we're trying to get rid of all the servitudes and make them servitorship, which is another word Prabhupada used. Servitude, you know what it actually means? Slavery. It's not service. But because it sounds, the word serve is in there, Prabhupada used it, but it's anyway, that's my fault for letting him all through, but gradually we get him. But the idea is foundational. This of all the other rasas. Each of the qualities of the next rasa has the previous rasa, but also something else. So service is central to all the rasas, except the Shanta rasa. So service means, we know what service means. It means wanting to make the master pleased, trying to dovetail your will and your activities with the wishes of the master. So that's central to bhakti. What does Krishna want? Well, he makes it very explicit in the Bhagavad-gītā. Man manabhava mad bhakto. He summarizes it. Think of me, become my devotee, do things to please me, bow down to me, recognizing me as and sacrifice for me, like that, So that's the basic rasa, service. Then friend. The friends, they're servants of Krishna, but they serve him in a very intimate way. So much so that in the Goloka Vrindavan, they forget that he's God, because that would impede the friendship part. Friendship means between equals, right? So they forget, and sometimes they'll tease Krishna. Like there's this wonderful painting. It's from the Nectar Devotion. They're out in Vrindavan land, and they have some sweets. They're taking. They pack them. Their mothers give them sweets in their bed. So one friend says, "Close your eyes, Krishna. I'm going to give you a really nice sweet from my body." So he closes his eyes and he puts a flower in his mouth. And because what is this? So they're playing a trick on Krishna. But he likes that. He likes it when they forget his God, he's God, and they treat him on an equal level as an affectionate friend. So that's a friendship. It's very special. And then a parent. Now, who can be a better friend to their child than the parent? So the parent sees, is always trying to see to Krishna, Mother Yashoda and Nanda, see to Krishna's needs, and and in Bhoma Vrindavan, in the earthly Vrindavan, you've got these demons coming all the time. So the parents just going, nuts. It's the whirlwind, the tornado demon, Trinavarta has come and he blinded us. We couldn't see anything, all the dust, and now Krishna's gone. He's up in the sky. What are we going to do? But the Yashoda faints, and her friends try to comfort her, And then a few minutes later, the demon comes crashing down. Krishna, as a baby, he strangled him, They don't realize he's all powerful. And so he's dead up there, so he comes crashing down, and Krishna's on it, and then they see Krishna, he's playing on the body of the demon. Oh, what a relief, And then they have this big sacrifice. Mother Yashoda gets all the Brahmins, to ward off the witches and the demons. So that's parental rasa. Always anxiety, and then, wonderful. Yeah, this is, who is it who wrote me? Oh, Giridhari Priya, who comes down. He's well known. He comes down for all the festivals, and he dresses the deities and everything. So this morning I gave class and I quoted this verse. I forgot how I got into it, but Kṛṣṇa kalapam smitamukamudjana nasika gamuktam kadadatandamanita pindamangre tanayamaveshanananda patni. So just the sound of it, you can see it's attractive. So this is a verse from the Nectar of Devotion, which deals with all these rasas in detail. That's what the Nectar of Devotion is, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. So he has various descriptions of varieties of maternal ras, you see. So this particular verse is from that chapter in Sanskrit that Rupa Goswami composed. So oftentimes he quotes verses, but this is the original verse. And he's describing little Krishna. I didn't put it into a poem yet, maybe someday. So this is what I was doing this morning. And Girit Haripriya was listening to the verse online or on his phone or something, you know. I had no idea. So Kṛṣṇa Kanaka Kinkani. Kṛṣṇa means tinkling sweetly. Kanaka is golden. Kinkani is his waist bells. Maybe he's just a little boy. He's like 2 years old, maybe 3 years old, you know. So he's crawling around. He doesn't wear much at that time. He's got the bells, and he's got a beautiful pearl affixed to his nose. That's all he's wearing. And he's carrying a little ball of fresh butter. So Kṛṣṇa Kanaka Kinkani, and you know the alliteration, you can hear it. Kṛṣṇa Kanaka. Kanaka is golden, Kinkani is bells. So the golden waist bells are tinkling very sweetly as he crawls toward his mother. Kalapam, that's just the series of bells. Kalapam, Smita Mukham, smiling face. He's got this beautiful smile on his face. He may not have all his teeth in yet, you know, so there's that very special attractive feature. Ujjvala Nasika Gramugam. On his nose, he's affixed on this part a very effulgent pearl, very high quality pearl. So that's his ornaments and that's his whole dress. You just describe it. Ujjvala Nasika Gramuktam. Karadrita, in his hand he's holding Navanita. Navanita means fresh butter. Pinda means ball. He's got a ball of fresh butter in his hand, and he's crawling toward his mother, you see? Navanita Pindam Agre, in front of his mother. Tanayam Aveksha, when she sees her son, Tanayam is his son, Nananda Nanda Patni. So Nanda Patni is the name of Yashoda. It's Patni is wife of Nanda. And Nananda means, and I introduced this word, you won't hear this word anywhere else, except in a class from me. Extasize. Have you ever heard that before? Extasize. I mean, exercise? No, extasize. It's in the Oxford English Dictionary. And it means to go into ecstasy or to put someone else into ecstasy. Don't you think we need that word in ISKCON? I think we should. Anyway, so she exercises him. So now here's the miracle, okay? So he's listening to this class, and he's you know, I don't know what happened when he heard the verse, because for the first time he had affixed a little pearl to Girit Hari's nose. Now I don't know. I think we see the dressing here that we can look today, you know. So he would just say, "Oh my God, you know, this is a miracle." Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. So that's parent, and then of course Kṛṣṇa Lover, the famous gopis and meeting Krishna, and rasa dance, you know, all of that. So these are different ways of relating to Krishna in love, different, you know, varieties of love, and that's what the spiritual world is all about. And you know, that's what this world is all about. We try, you know, where you get your pleasure. So much Shanta Rats, you're related to so many impersonal things, the phone and the computer and the video games, but it's simulating other kind of ras, isn't it? The adventurous ras on the video games, you know, I'm conquering you like that, you know. And so, but it's pale reflection because it's temporary. They get broken and they can turn into the opposite. You know, you get married and so forth, and then they're incompatible, divorce, and it's just, oh my God, you know, this is the material world. And eventually, the body, which is how you're expressing those rasas, which is temporary, it has to end. You know, even just ordinary life, your kid grows up. What happened to my parental ras? You know, he hardly even calls me anymore. I'm sitting in this old age home. He doesn't call me anymore. You know? I remember back when I was, 30 and he was only 5. You know, that was the. You know, this is material rasa. It's a pale reflection. It's frustrating. So Krishna consciousness means to we're in one of these rasas with Krishna. We don't know what it is yet, but the Sarup, it's called Sarup Siddhi, by gradually uncovering it in our heart. It's all there, buried after many millions of years of forgetting it, but it's still there as part of our mind. So that's Prabhupada has introduced that here. All right, let's go on. How Arjuna accepted, is that where we are? Yeah. How Arjuna accepted this Bhagavad-gītā should be noted. His manner of acceptance is given in the 10th chapter, 10:12 to 14. I'll see you say. Arjuna Vacha, Padam Brahma Padam Dhamma, Pavitram Padamam Bhavan, Purusham Shasvatam Divyam, Adidevam Ajam Vibhum, Ahustram Shayak Sarve, Devashir Naradas Asito Devalo Vyasa, Swayam Chaiva Bravishime, Sarvametad Vritam Manye, Yanmam Vadashikeshava, Nahite Bhagavan Vyaktim, Vidurdeva Nadanavaha. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyas confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. O Krishna, I totally accept this truth, all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality." Okay, so before we go on, we may not go on much more tonight, but I wanted to share what the verses were that evoked this from Arjuna, you see? Because this is a very important part of the Bhagavad-gītā in the 10th chapter. So there's 4 verses that kind of encapsulate an essential message of the Bhagavad-gītā. And then there's this 2 at the end, which we just read last week, 65 and 66. But this is 10, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Krishna is giving these essential information about himself. So first verse is, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate itimat vabhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. The first 2 lines, Krishna is giving his ontological position. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of everything. This is the definition of the absolute truth at the beginning of the Brahma Sutra, or the Vedanta Sutra, which is the summary of all the Vedic knowledge. That which is the source of everything. So Krishna says, it's me. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvavad. He says it both ways. From his point of view, I am the source of everything. And from our point of view, where did everything, you are from whom everything has come from. You see, those who know this, they worship me with all their heart. They have to be Buddha, though. The intelligent devotees who know this, they worship me with all their heart. Buddha bhava samanvita. And then he gives a little summary of how. So here's these sambandha. Everything that you see, I am the source, you are my servant, like that. That's the big first. And then abhideya, the practice. What do they do to worship me? Mat chitta, mat gata prana, bodhayantak parasparam, katayantas chamam nityam tushyanti chadamandicha. So mat chitta, first thing is placing the mind on Krishna. You see, on me, Krishna says. That means chanting the holy name in so many ways, hearing his book, you know. Gata prana. And then my pure devotees, they dedicate their life force to me. Whatever they do for me. Gata prana. And then bodhayantak paraspadam. They get together and converse about me. Talk about me, have a kirtan, you see. And by doing that, katayantas, by speaking about me. Chamam nityam, always, tushyandi chadamandicha. They feel satisfaction and spiritual happiness. Yeah. And then what? Then what do I do on my side? Tesham, very famous verse. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamapiyandite.
For those, I think it also refers to those who are worshiping me in this way, but those who are always linked to me in these ways that I just described, through yoga, through bhakti yoga, satata yuktanam, bhajatam priti purvakam, worshiping me with great and transcendental love, the dami buddhi, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. Now how does he do that? Well, this is one way, by speaking his Bhagavad-gītā and inspiring his great devotees to translate into our language. What good it would be if it would all be in Bengali. Maybe you could read it. Yeah, I don't know if you could read it. But anyway. but in English, in our own language. So this is, how Krishna is reciprocating. And then, last verse of the 4. Tesham eva anukampartam. Now this word anukampa. Now kampa is one of the ecstatic symptoms, is trembling, right? So anukampa means trembling in sympathy with someone else. It's a description of empathy and sympathy. So that anukampa means compassion, So out of compassion for them, Krishna feels compassion. Tesham eva anukampa, the ones he described in the previous, always worshiping me with love, trying to reach me. Te eva anukampartam ahama jnana jantamaha nashayam yapna bhavasto. I destroy in their hearts the ignorance, the darkness born of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge. How? Bhagavad-gītā, again, and his devotees, you see. So that's what elicited Arjun's verses here. Padam Brahma, Padam Dhamma. He's recognizing officially Krishna as a supreme Brahman like that, A very important passage. So it's getting late. I'll read one more paragraph or so. After hearing the Bhagavad-gītā from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna accepted Krishna as Padam Brahma, the Supreme Brahman. Every living being is Brahman, but the Supreme Living Being, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the Supreme Brahman. Padam Dhamma means that he is the supreme rest or abode of everything. Pavitram means that he is pure, untainted by material contamination. Purusham means that he is the supreme enjoyer. Shashvatam, eternal. Divyam, transcendental. Adi Devam, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajam, the unborn. And Vibhum, the greatest. So this is a very important verse, and it could be, there's a long purport to these when we actually get to it. Very important. Okay, one more paragraph. Now one may think that because Krishna was the friend of Arjuna, Arjuna was telling him all this by way of flattery. But Arjuna, just to drive out this kind of doubt from the minds of the readers of the Bhagavad-gītā, substantiates these praises in the next verse when he says that Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead not only by himself, but by authorities like Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasadeva. These are great personalities who distribute the Vedic knowledge as it is, accepted by all acharyas. Therefore, Arjuna tells Krishna that he, Arjuna, accepts whatever he says to be completely perfect. Sarvam etad ritam manye. I accept everything you say to be true. Arjuna also says that the personality of the Lord is very difficult to understand and that he cannot be known even by the great demigods. This means that Lord cannot even be known by personalities greater than human beings. So how can a human being understand Lord Krishna without becoming his devotee? So this is, if we recall just a few paragraphs earlier, that Prabhupada was emphasizing the importance of accepting the Bhagavad-gītā the way Arjuna did. So this is how Arjuna accepted it. And okay, so this is all kind of far out stuff. I mean, if you come in kind of with your the mood of the education system and what's going on, it sounds really fantastical. Some world where everyone is conscious and everyone's dancing all the time. Come on, I don't see it. Show me in a telescope. So. Prabhupada, at one point, Prabhupada says, Bhagavad-gītā is spoken in order to increase our faith in Krishna, so that we'll actually practice Bhagavad-gītā, practice bhakti. So now comes, the understanding, this idea of parampara. Who are these persons who understood this, followed the program, and realized the highest levels of bhakti? What is their experience and so many things? So then you go back, look at this, Srila Prabhupada himself, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and at the end of this introduction, there's a whole list of the parampara, going back all the way to Krishna. So who are these people? Are they fanatics? Did they drop some acid or something and then write this book? Oh, this is amazing. No, it's not like that at all. They practiced basically what Prabhupada has taught us. Of course, Lord Chaitanya, when he came, he made it very easy and practical for us because we're so lazy, short-lived, and disturbed and everything. But basically, they became realized. They realized their Swarup Siddhi, and they became pure channels, if you will, for Krishna's teachings. And because they realized, and because of their personality and their seeing Prabhupada's life, and we can see there were movies made, and we can see his biography, that he was so tolerant and merciful and determined and blissful, and all of them are like that. In other words, you have a whole line of great souls who are great intellects who followed this process, and their disciples, and sometimes the thousands who experienced it. So who are we to say, no, it's not real, it doesn't sound right. It's worth a try. It's worth trying, chanting Hare Krishna, attempting, to give up those things that we know are impediments we learn in books, like that, and to see the effect. And Prabhupada, when he started the movement, it took a lot of effort to get it going. A year, practically nothing happened. But then it kind of exploded. And why? Because it's genuine. Stay high forever. I mean, the first devotees, they were chanting, they're getting a kind of high that they didn't get from their, marijuana. And there was no bad effects. It's all positive effects. And so they were experiencing it, and therefore they became credible to their contemporaries, and it's still working like that. So anyway, I want to leave time for a little poem, at least. Okay. So what could be better than the first verse of the Shikshastika? This foundational verse, ever fresh. And maybe you haven't heard it. Have you heard of the Shikshastika? Okay. So this is a verse that was written by Lord Chaitanya about the chanting of Hare Krishna, the holy name. Chaito darpanam arjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreyakaidava chandika batadanam vidyavadhu jivanam anandam badivardhanam patipadam purnamita swadanam sarvatmastapadam padam vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So for you and for millions like you who don't know Sanskrit, I put it into a poem. All glories to the chanting of Sri Krishna's holy names, which easily extinguishes samsara's blazing flames by polishing the lust-encrusted mirror of the heart. That chanting is the waxing moon that knows the secret art of causing the white lotus of good fortune to unfurl its petals far and wide throughout this bleak and blighted world. Of transcendental knowledge, which will take us to life's goal. The chanting of the name of Krishna is the life and soul. The ocean of ecstatic bliss floods far beyond its bounds, wherever Krishna's merciful and mystic name resounds. Indeed, whenever Krishna's names are sung in congregation, at every step one tastes a joy that knows no limitation. So hear with great attention as I earnestly request, please chant Sri Krishna's holy name and be supremely blessed. The soothing nectar of the name will bathe your consciousness, bestow pure love for Krishna, and eradicate distress. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.